Isn't that the highest you can get?
850, yeah. It was a lot of white people. All right, so we're on. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. How Copy Podcast. Brent, How Copy? What's going on, bud?
Good. We are live from the belly of the beast, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. It's been another interesting week.
You were late as usual.
Always on Brennan time. Yeah, fuck, man. Dude, I suck. Like, plain and simple, I suck.
Hey, this is one of those things where everybody's like, oh, I want to do a podcast. It's so easy. But, man, not only is it a time commitment, like you have to, especially when you got a family.
Oh, yeah.
And you got a job or you got to work, whatever it is you got to do. You got to schedule, 3-4 hours. And then there's the editing, and then there's the setting up.
Yep.
And it's not, I mean, we don't have a fucking crew. We don't come to make up. And, you know what I mean?
It's fucking like 90 Buddy, 10% Brennan.
It is kind of fun. I've been kind of, slacking off on my business, my work side of things. So it keeps me busy, but I'm just an idiot. I don't know. I'm learning how to get things on the algorithm and how to I was just watching something today on TikTok, because that's a big thing. They're and I tell you what, they're in hearings right now. So everybody's like, oh, TikTok this and TikTok, and people regurgitate that TikTok being whatever they want to call it, Chinese spy agency, or how they're stealing your data. But I was listening to Adam Curry. You know who Adam Curry is? Remember him from MTV? Yep. Well, he's like he's like the godfather of podcasting. He was like one of the first. Yeah. And he's a smart guy. But anyway, the way he broke it down was, it's not that TikTok is doing anything different than, say, Facebook, Instagram, or even Google. The issue is they're kicking everybody's ass. Mm-hmm. Like, they're smarter than everybody. So whereas people in our generation, say I was in Greensboro last night and I wanted to eat dinner, so I would go to Google and say, restaurants near me, or 5-star restaurants, or Michelin star, anything I was looking for, sushi near me. Yeah. We would typically go to Google. But like younger kids, they're not doing that shit no more. Younger people, they're going to TikTok. So TikTok, rather than pull up a Google review, they can pull up a live video of, say, you eating sushi and reviewing the restaurant. So, Google's starting to lose ad dollars, and, people that own Facebook I think Instagram and Facebook are the same company, but
Meta.
My point is, they give money to politicians to get elected. So when those politicians are in power, they start losing money. They're like, we need you to do something about this. So it's a lot of bullshit. Like, TikTok is not doing anything differently than Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I don't really know. I only know the big ones because we're old. We still use Facebook. Yeah, but
I feel behind. I'm trying to. I'm like, like I noticed today, like we went to the trampoline park for my son's birthday. Just as like a side thing we do. Like, we don't really do birthday parties, never really have. We did when the boys were younger, but they don't like them. So we just pick something they want to do. We'll have a nice dinner, and then we'll take the boys out for what they want to do. Like, for instance, Brandon wanted to go to the trampoline park. Right. My little guy wants to go to King's Dominion. So I try to do it. I believe in birthdays, man. Like, I think it's an accomplishment.
For kids. Yeah. But, I don't know. I think about when I was about 12 years old, all that shit stopped.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. But I noticed, like, all the kids is, like, everyone, like, the styles, it's all TikTok. Like, TikTok dominates everything. And you know me. I'll state it again. Like, I'll never be on TikTok. I don't care. I hate TikTok.
Once you're on Facebook, it's the same fucking thing. It's just a little different. It is,
but it's not as fucking annoying, I guess you can say.
I don't know, man.
TikTok gets on my fucking nerves. I'm going to tell you why TikTok gets on my nerves. TikTok has created and it's really hard to explain, but people will know what I'm talking about. It's created a persona of people. Like, it's created an accent. It's created how people do
TikTok
things.
Didn't do that. That's been in pop culture since forever.
I think I'm willing to say that TikTok.
I mean, even Hollywood had an accent, the transatlantic accent that they created back in the 1920s and 30s. But hey, you see, they used to talk like that.
I mean, I get that, but like, TikTok does a thing where it's hard to explain, but it exists.
I thought the same thing because, coming from the MySpace generation, and then Facebook just came out of nowhere. So everybody in my age bracket is pretty much on Facebook. So when TikTok came about, I think it spawned out of an app called Musical.ly or something like that.
Musical.ly.
But it just kind of popped in the scene. All the kids were doing it. So, as an adult, you're like, oh, that's dumb. Facebook is good. Everything else is dumb. But I don't know, man. I like it. I like it for what we're doing here to get our presence out there.
Definitely does that, yeah.
More people use it. Now it will, if you're not responsible with it, you will lose hours out of your life. Like I get up every morning. I saw a meme this morning. There's a guy laying in bed, and it's like me waking up before my alarm goes off, but laying in bed until I'm late. You know, it's like I'm still laying. I get up in the morning, I get my coffee, I get back in my bed and sit up, and then I check all my stuff. And I try not to go to TikTok, but I have to check it because we're on TikTok. Just little clips, you know, and I'll start going down the rabbit hole, and it knows what you want to see based on what you click.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So if I got on your TikTok, I wouldn't like it because it would be geared towards anime and whatever kind of gay shit that you like.
I'm not even
what was that shit? What was Letterkenny bullshit?
Letterkenny's great.
But if you got on mine, it would be, you know what I'm saying? So it's curtailed, and I think it's for social media, you know, trying to do something on social media. I think it's great. I think you should give it a try. I think you should give it another chance. Maybe open up your mind a little bit.
I was on it. I've been on it twice. I think I was on it the first time for like a total of like 5 seconds. And I was like, nah, fuck this. And then I was on it for like trying to find something because I did an interview for TikTok at a Civil War thing. Yeah. I just want to see what it was and what context they used it in. Because before I even did the interview, I really thought, you know, I'm like, it was a guy who approached me at a Civil War thing. He just asked me what my favorite battle was and why. Yeah. And I did it, and I got a $10 Amazon gift card for doing that, which was cool. But anyways, you never know what context anything you could say could be used in.
Well,
you know? So,
whatever.
But anyways,
go ahead.
So I was trying to find it, but like I got on there again. I was like, nah, fuck this again, because I don't know, man. TikTok just
it's the same. Instagram has pretty much mimicked it. I've never been an Instagram guy. I mean, I signed up for Instagram when it first came out. We do have an Instagram account. I signed up for Twitter. I never used Twitter or anything like that. I guess because
I still think it's a fucking twit. Like,
yeah, I don't
Twitter.
But you got to re-explore TikTok because Instagram is the same thing, and Facebook to me has just gotten pretty fucking boring. I don't know.
Facebook now is just a way that like I keep in touch with friends and I see pictures, pretty pictures, you know. But Facebook it's falling off. You can tell there's not a lot of activity on Facebook anymore. But
TikTok's kicking their ass, and that's why they're sitting in a congressional hearing, because they're taking all the fucking money and AdSense and all that bullshit. Hey, let me ask you a question. I want to shift gears here. Because I meant to bring it up maybe 2 podcasts ago, but you know, speaking of Facebook, we were talking before about how social media has made you'll say something to somebody on social media that you wouldn't say to their face.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So, and I find myself doing that a lot. And recently, probably about 2 weeks ago, I was scrolling through and I seen a Confederate flag. And it was Don Hutchins from the Hunt Club, because he's on my page. And so I was like, dude, I didn't know you were a Democrat. You know, so anyway, that opened up somebody to make a comment, and I was scrolling through the next day and I seen it, and I started typing out like shit that not disrespectful, you know what I mean? And then I realized this is on Don's page. I could be talking to his aunt. Yeah. You know, and I've done that before. I've blasted people and then realized I'm talking to Aunt Bertha, and I'm like, oh shit, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I just thought it was just some random shit. But so I deleted it all. I said, I asked him permission, and he was like, no. And I said, well, I'm gonna do it on the podcast. So let's talk about that. I know it's kind of a fucking bubblegum issue. It's not really a big issue, but I see it a lot, and I see a lot of conversation behind it, and I see a lot of controversy behind it. What is your take on that? The Dixie flag, the stars and bars, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, there's no doubt that it represents something that, you know, can be very offensive and hurtful. There's no doubt about that, you know, because in the 60s, I'm a guy who's been, if you guys don't know me, well, those of you who do know me, I'm 40. I've been studying the Civil War since I was 5 years old, like thoroughly. Mm-hmm. And I've read, you know, thousands of soldier accounts. I've read into every historical aspect. I've read all the politicians' views. And like I said, there's no doubt that banner is hurtful, you know. And it was used in the 60s in a poor, actually not even the 60s. We're going to go like Jim Crow era, you know. It was used.
Actually, no, I think you're right. Yeah. It was towards the end of the Jim Crow era, because during the Jim Crow era, organizations like the Ku Klux Klan, they didn't use it. They used the American flag.
Right.
If you Google up right now, I don't know, it was 1923, whatever it was, when they marched on Washington, and there was like, I don't know, 100,000 Klansmen there. You won't see it. All you'll see is an American flag.
Right.
So I think it was pulled in the 60s after Jim Crow. was over or was coming to an end, and segregation and civil rights and all that, then like government separatist, like white supremacists still, but more separatist, then it started getting pulled in.
Yeah.
Because I looked for it in the early days of, what was that movie that the Democrat, Woodrow Wilson, I think it was Woodrow, he was a Democrat, right? He showed that movie, Birth of a Nation, at the White House.
Birth of a Nation, yeah.
Yeah. So
that was
during
hardcore.
that era, it wasn't being used.
So
what's your thoughts on it now? What would you tell somebody? Because what gets me about, I'll just go ahead and tell you my opinion.
Yeah.
Good. When I see people at a Trump rally, or I see people that are obviously, I'll say Republican. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm not a Republican, but I tend to be, I guess, if people think that I am, mm-hmm. you know, based on my views on certain things. But when I see that, I'm like, to me, that flag represents the Democrat Party, period. Mm. A lot of people like to see the Civil War as North and South. That's a nice romantic way to paint it. But really, it was the Democrat Party broke away to start their own Confederation of States.
Yeah.
It was Democrats. It wasn't like Republicans and Democrats. And I could be, if I'm wrong on that, then somebody tell me, who was the Republican in the Republican Party that was in South Carolina that was for the Confederacy? I think it was.
There wasn't, like back then, but the thing, there was a whole transfer of like, there was a transfer of views somewhere in the early 20th century.
Well, that's kind of a misconception too.
Yeah.
You know, well, that could be likened to the fact that 1990s, early 2000 liberals are now seen as right-wing extremists.
Right.
Like if so what the notion is that somewhere in the 60s, after civil rights, the Republicans and the Democrats had some type of meeting, and the Democrats said, you know, we've been carrying this white supremacy flag long enough, it's your turn. And the Republicans just agreed, and they were like, okay, boom, boom. Like, show me the minutes of that meeting. Like, that's just a lie. You know, that's just a fucking bullshit. It never happened. Now, did some of the Southern Democrats convert to or switch over? Like Strom Thurmond, maybe? I don't know. He was a Democrat in South Carolina, and Jesse Helms might have been a Democrat that switched over to the Republican Party. But this notion that the Republicans all of a sudden became the white supremacy party, I don't know. I call bullshit on it, because it's kind of like a Mandela effect. Like, everybody seems to remember that and they seem to accept it, but really dissect it. When did it happen?
Right. That's a good question. Like, I don't know.
So, so I look at the Civil War as what it was, and it was the Democrats versus the Republicans. And the Republicans were made up of two parties at least.
You gotta understand, like, before the Civil War, literally right before the Civil War, there was like multiple political parties in the U.S. that made a difference, and all of a sudden,
but they couldn't beat the Democrats. That was the problem. The Democrats were too big and too powerful, and and so the Free Soil Party and the Liberty Party were
Whigs,
they converged into one party, and they became the Republican Party.
Right.
And it was all built around slavery. You know what I mean? It was all built around the expansion west.
Yeah.
You know, the Democrats got a compromise, and I don't remember the dates. They called it the Great Compromise.
Here's something that you can't look past, though. You can't, as a unbiased historical fact of the Civil War, like, people sit there and they'll demon, and I'm not sticking up for the South exclusively, but people will sit there and blame the South for everything and call them evil. But you have to look at our country before the Civil War, how much the world depended on cotton, and how much Northern businesses were involved with the Southern slavery to get that cotton, to manufacture it and send it overseas. So I guess my point is obviously these guys they rebelled against the United States. They were considered enemies of the United States.
They broke off and they started their own country.
Yeah. So, but
you got to dig deep. Go put a face on that. Who broke away from the Union and started their own country? Who?
The Democrats.
The Democrat Party.
Southern Democrats. Yes.
They were getting beat by the newly formed Republican Party.
Right.
And they were getting beat. And the issue of the day was expansion. Abolition of slavery, the abolishment of slavery had been a hot button issue for a while, but it was coming to an end. And businesses did not want to expand west if companies could bring slaves out there, because how are you going to entice, people to go out there and work and start businesses if they're going to be competing with slave labor? So they basically compromised.
Yeah.
and they said, okay, you can keep your slaves on the 13 colonies, but you can't bring them out west.
Right.
And that was the compromise. And I guess there was they called them the barn, Henry Clay and the barn burning Democrats. They left the Democrat Party because they were okay with the compromise. With the Democrats, the hardcore, staunch Democrats, they didn't like that shit.
Right.
And they knew it was only a matter of time before it started moving into their territory. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So they broke. So people were like, oh, it wasn't over slavery. You know, who was it? I'm going to steal this from somebody, but they were like, it was about economics. Like, well, yeah, it sure was. You didn't want to pay the fucking help. You know what I mean? You didn't want to pay.
A lot of it, you know, that's the horrible thing about it was, yeah, like slavery was.
Well, let's not get into slavery as well, because that's American slavery. The institution of American slavery is a little bit different than slavery as it was prior to 1600. So that's a whole different topic. I'm talking about the Confederate flag. Is it heritage? Is it hate? Should it go away?
Okay.
Should you respect that?
All right. So, first of all, the Confederate flag that we know of is not even the Confederate flag.
Yeah,
it's the battle flag. And if for those listening who don't know how that was established, was the first battle of the Civil War, the major battle Manassas, also known as Bull Run. You had Northern everyone was in their pre-Civil War uniforms. The United States back then was a huge. There was a bunch of militias, state militias, right?
Well, yeah.
And some states had gray uniforms, like northern states. New York State Militia was gray, for instance. Ohio had gray uniforms. You had all these different uniforms, and there was no way of identifying soldiers on the battlefield.
So they used the banner.
Yeah. So if you look at the Confederate flag, it's actually the three-stripe. It looks like the U.S. flag, the first Confederate flag.
The first one.
All right. That flag
Ironically, if you look at the new Georgia flag,
it's the Georgia flag.
After they fought to get the Confederate flag off of the Georgia flag,
even more Confederate.
The
now.
Democrats of Georgia, they won that one because the Georgia state flag now is an exact replica of the first Confederate flag. Go ahead.
With the state of Georgia. So but you know, so what happened was at that battle there was mass confusion. There was a lot of friendly fire. There's a lot of leaders.
Yeah, speed up. I don't want to throw off your history, but I don't want to. I want to stay on topic here. So it was used as a battle signifier based on its size.
Distinct.
Yeah,
it's very distinct, and when you have smoke and you have confusion, that furled first Confederate flag looks exactly like the U.S. flag.
Yeah.
So they developed that flag, and
the second one looked like a surrender flag.
Yeah, so they put a red stripe on it.
Yeah.
But
the actual the one that we are talking about, the one that people got tattooed and they got flying off of their back of their truck and their heritage not hate, that rectangular flag, if I'm not wrong, that was actually the flag of the Northern Virginia, their battle flag.
No, that's actually a naval flag. It's the rectangular one. The Confederate battle flag is a square flag that has a white or orange border.
Right, but what about the rectangular one?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the naval flag.
Okay.
So
where'd that one? I mean, so during the Civil Rights Movement, all of the Southern states, the Dixiecrats, Democrats, they adopted that flag and they put it on top of every state house. It wasn't there before.
Right.
It was never on top of the Georgia Capitol, North Carolina, and all of that. They put it up there as a show of solidarity to their constituents that they were against the Civil Rights Movement. They didn't want to integrate. They wanted to keep Jim Crow.
Yeah.
And you can fact check that. That's when that flag went, and they started putting up all the monuments they're trying to take down.
No, they didn't put the monuments up in the 60s. That's bullshit. Straight up. Okay, so I got to talk about the monuments for a sec because there's, I get it. I get the hard feelings about stuff like that, right? Yeah. But the monuments were, after the Civil War, I got to break this down. You had a lot of funding from the North provided to the government to go and recover battlefield dead and rebury them. All right, so they went and they dug up these Union soldiers and they reburied them in national cemeteries. That's where we get the national cemeteries from. All right, obviously the South is destroyed after the war. You've got organizations that get together, and one of them is the one that's always targeted as the extremist, or the United Daughters of the Confederacy. They have nothing. They don't have cemeteries for their dead, the Southern dead. They're still American dead. Any way you paint it, we're all Americans. That's how I look at it, right? So it took towards the end of the 19th century, the late 1800s, for them to have enough money to go and recover these bodies, all right? And the South is still rebuilding after the war. You got to remember that as well. A lot of these monuments, and this is direct out of the memoirs of my ancestor. I mean, he fought for the South. He was a Virginian. But the guys wanted a tribute to their friends who never came home, right? And a lot of them couldn't even recover their bodies because they're buried in, they were unknown graves.
Yeah.
You know, like something like it's something ridiculous. Like out of this, I believe it's 800,000 now they believe were killed or died during the Civil War. Used to be 620,000, but out of all those guys, only like 3% are identified, you know? And most of them are Southern. Actually, North Carolina was one of the biggest states that lost soldiers.
Well, yeah, I don't want to discredit the soldiers because the soldiers, they were lied to just like soldiers always are. They were just regular people fighting. I'm talking about the powers, the party, the rich, you know, the elite, the 1% that caused it.
This is my, you know, some of these monuments, yes, were put up. Like there were some monuments that were put up in the 60s, I believe.
There were
not the ones.
I can't give you exact like boom, 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 but most of the monuments to the Confederacy were put up during the civil rights lead up to it, when they knew it was kind of during the Dixiecrat era.
I would argue that there's probably a few that were definitely made, but most of these were made in like 1890s, 1880s, when the battlefields, when they start preserving battlefields. You can tell though
and I was watching a whole hit piece, and I call it a hit piece because that's what it was. But the materials that were being tore down were not available back then. These were like cheap. They weren't bronze. A lot of these statues that went up around, whether it be of General Lee and all these people, they were like really quick. They weren't bronze. They weren't. They were just. Nobody really knows. Kind of like was that Stonehenge in Georgia, the guide stones. Like no one really knows who paid. Like who paid.
I don't.
You know.
A lot of these monuments were there, like especially the ones like.
All right, so we digress. I'm talking about today, in today's.
Right.
What do you think about, what's your opinion on when you see a Confederate flag flying off someone's truck next to a Trump sticker?
I think most of the time they are probably bigot. Most of the time.
It's what you think automatically,
yeah, that's
right?
what you think. Right.
And I know guys that do it, but they're not.
But they're not.
You know what I mean?
You know, it's a Southern pride thing too. It really is. I've seen African American dudes flying it, you know.
Yeah, I think some of those guys though, they fly it kind of like shock value type shit. Like some of the rappers that kind of owning it.
The South has always been like America's punching bag regardless, you know, and like it kind of sucks cuz like you know, Southerners feel like they can't express themselves or be proud of who they are. You know, they're told they're a piece of shit because of the Civil War. Like, and you know, that's like saying, to me, this is my personal take on everything. You can go 100 years from now and say that every soldier that went to Iraq and Afghanistan was fucking and was going there to oppress people for oil. That's all we cared about.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Like we were evil, and you know, but a soldier's a soldier, dude.
Yeah.
Like if you were a freaking 18-year-old kid in fucking North Carolina during the Civil War, your mind did not think like now. You couldn't go on Google and be like, hey, that guy's a lot like me. You know, you were taught these things to believe, and you went with the flow.
And the only information you got was what you were told and what you read in the newspaper.
Right.
You know?
So, and a lot of people back then were more loyal to their local community than
their
anything
state.
else, and their state.
That's the thing that a lot of people don't get about America. Prior to the Civil War, you were a North Carolinian first. You were a North Carolinian, and North Carolina was a part of this union of states.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was Jackson. I'm sorry, Lee, General Lee. Yeah. That was he was conflicted over that because he was not for the secession. He was not for the southern states breaking away. He was not for that.
He was offered
he was offered he was already at West Point, but he was offered Grant's job. But because Virginia went with the Confederacy, he was a Virginian first, and that's the way a lot of people. That's the way it was.
Who also
how many years after the actual United States, like 1776, we decided this was going to happen, but how long did it take to ratify? You know, it's a lot of years, and then you have the Civil War. How many years is there? It's it's like a generation. It's like you know, you're born into it, you grow up, and you're in politics, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not what we agreed on. We agreed on states being able to do this, and we'll kick up some money, and you help us out, but you can't come in here and tell us what to fucking do. So we're gonna go start our own club, essentially.
Right.
That's just a short like
And,
for
you
dummies
know,
way to explain it.
a lot of these Southern guys thought that like they were fighting the second revolution. That's what they believed,
Right.
you know. And I don't know, like, was it wrong? Absolutely. Like the way, were there things how people felt about other human beings that were wrong back then? Absolutely. There's no arguing that.
Yeah.
But
I'm not for trying to shit on the fucking graves or the memory. They are soldiers, and I'm for that. I am all for and I'm a Southerner. You know, I may be mixed. Yeah. You know, my family's from New York City and the South, so and that is growing up in that environment. You really see the difference. You know,
you're talking to a dude who has very deep roots in North Carolina and Virginia for like hundreds of years, but then was born and raised in California,
right? But
was taught about his roots here, and then so like I've seen it too, man, and I'm conflicted as well because, like I said, you know. It's hard these days, and like I said, there's no denying that there was stuff done that could be.
Quit apologizing. We didn't have shit to do with it. I get it.
I know, but at the same time, like I see, you know what really freaking fucked me up was like I've seen people compare like the Confederacy to the Nazis. Nah, man, no. Sorry. Like, sorry.
I mean, it's a very, it's very. Like I said, people look at it as a war between North and South.
Right.
I don't see it that way. I used to. But as you read more into it, you see that it was really the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party being the South. The soldiers, they don't fucking know. Like even today, with all the access to information that people have, you still only have two parties.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's all we're allowed to have.
Well, you know? Yeah, because you know, here's the thing. I go back to Abraham Lincoln was like a third party at the time when the Republican Party started.
Right.
And if, you know, I hear people all the time, well, I'm a libertarian, but I vote Republican because I don't want to give a vote to a Democrat. Well, if everybody's of that fucking mindset, then there's never going to be a third party.
Yeah.
Like, I won't vote for either one, but I really don't like the Democrats. I am anti-Democrat Party. I don't give a fuck if Jesus Christ was reincarnated. It was proven through DNA and everything, and he ran as a Democrat. I wouldn't vote for him.
Right.
I won't support the Democrat Party at all because they are the party of slavery. They are the party of the Confederacy. They are the party of Jim Crow. They are the party of segregation. You know, and then post all of that, they are the party of Planned Parenthood, the welfare state. It's a fucking shame that, you know, black Americans were doing better during the time. I'm not saying under Jim Crow, like people say that. Well, they were doing better financially under Jim Crow, but Jim Crow was only in the South. You know, you had California and all that. They were doing financially better.
There was segregation in California.
Yeah, there was, but it wasn't Jim Crow segregation. They didn't have separate water fountains.
Yeah, they did.
No, I was just watching. Matter of fact, I was watching a documentary before I came here on Bill Russell, the basketball player. He was like had 11 championships, played for the Celtics, and they moved from Louisiana to Oakland. And they were like, you know, for the first time, we're like, I can go into the library and I can use any water fountain. I'm going to school with white kids. It was integrated. Now, there was still racism, of course. Yeah. I mean, you can't, there's nothing you can do about the guy down the street. You know what I mean? Yeah. He don't fucking like anybody, you know, no matter what his ethnicity is. You can't help that. But I just lost my train of thought. You just fucked me all up, man.
Just about the Southern flag and what it represents.
Yeah, so, you know,
that's a tough.
Getting back to that, I can't. When I was a kid, okay, my grandparents lived in Autryville, North Carolina, a little like they had like a yellow light flashing just to kind of remind you that people did live there. You know, slow down, people live here, acknowledge us, and then drive on to Clinton or wherever you were going. But they had a parade every year, and we always had little American flags and little Dixie flags. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was everywhere. So I grew up thinking, okay, it's just it's like a Southern pride thing, you know. Yeah. But the more, you know, as soon as I kind of looked at it like that flag just kind of stands for the Democrats, I was like, okay, no, done. I don't have one. You won't see me with one. And at one time, I could probably find you some pictures, even when I was in Iraq, when we had Confederate flags on our body armor. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I just see it as a symbol of the Democrats. So I call out people all the time. You know, like you're all this Republican and Donald Trump shit, but you got all these Confederate flags. Lose it. It's my opinion. You do what you want. It's a free country. But like I asked you, what do you think when you see a Trump sticker and you see a Confederate flag? You think it's somebody that's bigoted. So why would you want to associate yourself with that?
Right.
I mean, the swastika goes back to Indian Hindu culture, and it's like a lotus wheel or something. It means
you see a lot in Buddhist stuff.
Yeah. But so
it was taken and it was used for something else,
right?
And it was really used for that. Like people actually did genocide under the name of that flag. So I get it.
So if I had a fucking a swastika hanging off my fucking necklace here, and you know, and what, even though it means whatever it does in my Buddhist or Hindu religion,
that's what people see it as, and that's what they sum it up with.
So there you go. So it's
there's the answer right
my
there.
contention that unless you're a Democrat, throw that fucking flag away, and let's not ever fucking have that discussion again. That's my opinion. You probably, how do you feel about it? Then we'll move on.
I can't speak on it honestly. Like I can't. It's not my right to.
You don't have one.
I didn't fight for that flag. You know, my ancestors fought for Virginia. They fought under that flag, but I don't think anyone now honestly has a righteous opinion on what that flag truly stands for. Yeah. But we know what it's been used for in our generation. Yeah. Like you're going to see a fucking skinhead Nazi who has swastikas on one arm and a Confederate flag on the other arm. And there's no questioning that. Yeah. You know, so you know what? I'm okay with it being taken away. Yeah. What I'm not okay with is, like I said, monuments that if they're, you know,
monuments should fucking
now
stay.
Richmond, Virginia, fucking Monument Ave. Yeah. Okay, cool. All the Confederate Generals, because to me those guys don't represent the fighting men. They don't. Okay, these guys they would have been okay regardless.
They were just rich guys. I mean, come on, you know, they were just rich. There were a few generals in there like Jackson. You know, these guys were like really good strategic. You know, they were generals, and they were in the military. They just had to choose when it came down. They had, and like I said, most people went home because that's where they were from.
And this ties into what we said on Facebook either. You know, there's a Facebook page where like people post memes about like shitting on Confederate graves.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's elementary.
I'm like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. Like, I will not go to Afghanistan and find an insurgent's grave and piss
I won't. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe when I was younger, yes, because I had that fucking mentality. But I respect those dudes. Anyone who fucking has the balls to pick up a rifle. And
I respect all soldiers on all sides.
Exactly,
okay?
they're soldiers.
You know, even like the German soldiers. Like you can, we should have won that war. I'm glad we won that war. That war needed to be fought, and we needed to tackle that. Right. But those soldiers, they were some badass soldiers.
I mean, they
you know what I mean? And a lot of them ended up in our military. Paperclip.
The scientists ended up in our.
But a lot of the early like founders of like the Green Berets were guys that were taking like Polish guys and German guys.
Eastern Bloc dudes that for that time.
I mean, they're
period
soldiers.
Yeah,
you know, we don't fucking.
Yep.
So anyway, I just wanted to. I told Don I said I can't go off on this lady because it could be your aunt, so I'm going to do it on podcast. So that's my contention.
That's funny.
On it.
You know. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, these days it's so easy to tell someone they're fucking completely wrong about everything just because the news says one thing or another, you know?
Well, how about that clip that I posted today? And I was like, is this even real?
Oh, it's obviously not, but, you know, there's people that are really good at voice acting that have done those parodies.
But all the deep fakes that they can do now. Like, I thought Theo Vaughn was a fucking kid televangelist, like, for 2 years.
That's fake. Someone imposed his face.
I know, but, like, it's not an important thing for me to study. I just kind of saw it in a reel and was like, oh, shit, okay, Theo Vaughn. I remember Theo Vaughn from his MTV days, vaguely, because I was a little older when that shit came out, but I just saw it and I was like, okay, so I'm telling people, hey man, did you know that he was? And I don't know how many people that probably Googled that and was like, oh, and they all think the same thing, and it's a deep fake.
It's a deep fake. Someone like imposed his face over that kid's face. No. The actual video is some random kid that was raised.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna use last night's experience. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Bruce Springsteen. Okay, yeah. I went to see Bruce Springsteen last night. Now, I am not even a Bruce Springsteen fan. I like some of his songs.
I don't even know what's one of his songs he's famous for.
We're Born in the USA.
That song. Okay.
And then Fire, My Hometown or Your Hometown.
Yeah. So
I mean, he's got like a ton of great songs.
Right, but the guy that sings one verse and then a different verse and then the same verse and then a different verse and the same. It's like all his songs to me sound the same after like the second stanza. So
I mean, I'm
not gonna knock it.
To each his own. I mean, like I said, I am not a fan enough to go to the concert. It was a great show. Yeah. Okay. He didn't play except 2 of the songs in 3 hours that I even knew. You know, there were people there that knew the words to everything he was singing. You know, and I would tell you what, white men in their 50s and have no hair, they love to shake their fist and go, like stick it to. Like, that was like that was the dance of the night. They would wait, like the guy in front of me would literally like off rhythm, totally off rhythm, like in between the bass, thump thump. He was dancing in between it, and he was waiting for Bruce to say, like, don't give a damn, so he could be like, you know? But I'm going to tell you right now, if Bruce Springsteen would have got on that microphone at the end of that show and said, I've had it with fucking Applebee's. I've had it. We don't need to take this shit no more. Let's leave this fucking Coliseum right now and go fucking tear down the Applebee's. Every single cracker in that motherfucking place would have went across the street and burned. Like, he had the whole crowd. He owned them. It was like
a good performer,
man. I'm gonna tell you, what, 75 fucking years old.
Yeah.
And he's not out there like, I've seen some of these older guys from the 60s and 70s, you know, and they're still touring like the Stones, you know. And they get out there, like Neil Young, it looks like somebody plugged him in, and he's just like going like this. And this motherfucker came out and was like, I don't know where he got the energy from. That's why I posted adrenochrome is real. This fool has no wrinkles.
Adrenochrome and
no
cocaine.
Plastic surgery.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he's on, I don't think he's on drugs. He's in real good shape, but man, at first I didn't even know half the songs, you know, but it was a fucking great show, man. But
well, look at Gavin Rossdale, but Gavin Rossdale is on cocaine.
Yeah. And like fucking, they fucking plug Robert Plant when Zeppelin everything. They just kind of plug him, or Jimmy Page, who's the guy from the Stones, Jimmy Page.
No, Keith
Richards.
Oh my
They
God.
just kind of plug him in. They hook his blood up to a new circulator, and he plays, and they wheel him. He's like on a dolly.
Oh Lord, yeah, that
you
guy.
know.
But that guy's been 90 since like 1972.
Yeah, it's just so. I like Bruce Springsteen, but everybody that was like, I'm going to see Springsteen, even like my dad was like, fuck that liberal puke.
I gotta ask, who got you to go see Bruce Springsteen?
No, I tell you what happened. Jody was at work one night, and she texted me, and I started playing guitar, right?
Yeah.
So I started learning some of the songs that I liked, and I learned like 2 Bruce Springsteen songs, and I was stoked about it because it was like Fire, you know, it's like, hey little girl, is your daddy home? That like pedo song, you know.
I never heard that song, but yeah,
it's a great song.
I'm gonna go listen to it.
And then I was playing My Hometown, Your Hometown, which is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
So I was really into it, and then she was like, Springsteen's coming, and I just hopped on Ticketmaster and ordered tickets. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you, there must have been 40,000 people in there, and I had cheap tickets, and they were fucking like $390 a piece.
What the fuck happened with like
the people? I think Randy commented, he was like, "You got binoculars?" I'm like, "Hey man, for fucking $800 total with insurance and all that stuff." He's like, "Damn, you know his sweat better be just dripping on you. You better be so close for $800." I was like, "That'll cost you like $3,000."
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, when did that happen?
And there was not a seat empty in that whole
When
place.
did that happen, man? Like, to concerts?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Fuck?
I paint myself as a guy that don't even like concerts.
Yeah.
You know, it's crowded. You got to stand in line.
Yeah.
You got to stand in line to pee. A beer costs $12, you know, and all that. I don't like that part of it, but there was something. If you're into, like, the people that were down on the stage, like, there was one chick down there that didn't stop dancing and singing the entire, you know.
It's fun.
And the old lady, the lady that was just swinging her arm.
Yeah, that was
posted.
great. And then
She didn't sit down I mean, she's probably 80 years old, and she ain't. She's probably like 70, but she didn't sit down the whole time.
Yeah. Like, I remember the last concert I went to, like a big concert like that, was Rancid in Texas, and we got front seats. We were in the pit the whole time. It was amazing. I felt like I ran like 5 PT tests afterwards.
Yeah.
But I got it as a gift.
Rancid.
Yeah.
That's like some angry fucking white boy.
That's not white boy. They're actually, like, Rancid's awesome. People hate on him, but
Rancid, is that black shoes, black coat, black hat, Cadillac? Yeah.
I like Rancid because where I grew up in the 90s, that was like the sound of where I grew up. A lot of people hate on him. You know, Tim, he's got a horrible voice. Yeah. That's what 13-year-old alcoholism and heroin addict does to people. But the dude's a fucking awesome artist.
So you were in the mosh pit.
We were there the whole time. Me and my buddy Shane. Yeah. And it was a 4-hour concert, and dude, it was just, the energy didn't stop. But, you know, I only paid for those tickets. This was in 2014, because he had just got out of the Army. I was on my way out, and I got it as like a gift for him because he's my best friend, one of my best friends. Named my son after him. But it was like $70 for both of us. Yeah. Well, no, $70 each.
Not if you want to see Bruce Springsteen.
But I mean,
even Adele. I looked at Adele tickets for like $7,000 fucking dollars.
What the fuck, though? I mean. Who?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know how much it costs.
No, that's
Bruce
right.
Springsteen had like a whole horn section, and he had a whole like rhythm singing section, like women, and he had, you know, of course, he's got Silvio Dante, fucking what's his name, Steven Van Zandt. He's got this whole production. Max Weinberg on the drums. He's got big monitors, the stage, you know. And I just remember thinking, like, if me and you set out to put on a concert, and we pulled off what they pulled off last night. When I was done, I would be so fucking stoked and elated and proud, but I wouldn't want to go do it again 2 nights later.
Yeah.
Like, he's got to go do this again. And there's the whole fucking production.
Yeah.
All that's, they don't, the Coliseum gives you like the thing that's hanging in the middle and maybe some air condition, but all that shit that you see is all theirs. And that's a big production. So you figure that's gas, you know.
I mean, and it's 2023, you know, but
yeah,
it's just crazy because, like, that's really not obtainable for the average person at all anymore. And, you know, used to be back in the day. I mean, dude, shit. Naughty by Nature, when they were big in 92, they played for free at the fairgrounds. You know, it cost $10 to get into the fairgrounds, and you got a free concert.
Yeah, but if Naughty by Nature back then, if they posted the average ticket for $500, would they have sold out?
No.
Bruce Springsteen did.
Yeah, I know. Kurt Cobain, actually, there's a short of him talking about this. Like, someone was saying that, like, back in the 90s, some artist was charging $50 a ticket, and Kurt was like, "What the hell? Who?"
Yeah.
He's like, "If we ever get like that, we're just a bunch of assholes." That's essentially what he said.
But then he got rich, and you know.
I mean, they're pretty big. This was on MTV in like '90 before he killed himself.
No, there's some artists now that are pretty pissed off about it because I think I guess I could have looked into it. I started reading a little bit about how what Ticketmaster. It's not the artist, it's Ticketmaster.
It is. It's the website because they always add all this shit onto them. Like,
it's crazy.
They'll go out and the website will buy like all the tickets, and then you're forced to buy tickets through that website.
Through them, yeah.
So I mean, they can do
like
whatever the hell they want.
Yeah,
but still, it just sucks. That's why I gave up on concerts a long time ago. I think my wife and I wanted to go see. We're into rock, we're into metal and stuff. But like, who was it?
She is too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My wife's actually she's more into metal than I am. I'm more of like punk rock or like reggae kind of guy. That's just how I was raised. Yeah. And what I grew up on, you know, I'm into like '90s rap and stuff like that. But it was Incubus.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. That's one of her favorite bands.
Have you heard of what's it called? She keeps, every day she talks about it for like 20 minutes. There's like a fucking fest going on in Maryland in September. Ocean Fest or something.
It's
and like
one of those.
Incubus is there, Weezer's there.
Probably like $2,000 for a
No,
ticket.
it's not. It's like it's a festival, so it's like 3 days.
Yeah.
So for like, I think it was like $1,200, you get like the VIP type shit. But everybody from like the 90s era, the early 90s are
I heard
there.
about that. Yeah, it was like,
because I like Weezer. I'm a people are like, some people like think Weezer's like bubblegum, you know, but I really like them.
Hey,
the only mosh pit I've ever been in was at Weezer, and you believe it or not, it was a pretty
Weezer,
fucking.
As long as it's not Nickelback, we're good.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy, man.
Nickelback. Like, everybody hates Nickelback, but they made a lot of money, so somebody liked them.
Yeah, somebody liked them.
What was the song? There was one. So me and Jody were talking. She's into music. Like, she's really into music, and it's good because it's the music that I like.
Right.
Except I like Wu-Tang and, you know, like Nas and all the 90s like rap, and she don't. But we were talking about one Nickelback song, and I said, you know, take that song and change the lyrics. I forgot which one it's not Rockstar, it's the other one. And she had to agree, like, it's a pretty good riff, man. If you just, their lyrics were so fucking corny. They were like uneducated lyrics, like just what rhymes with pot, you know? They didn't get creative. It was just the next thing that came to his mind, and it was stupid.
Like,
but
I don't know. I just feel like things are kind of spiraling out of control as far as price wise. Like, this is basically what's happening. Like, some assholes, like, I'll pay freaking, you know, some asshole has $1,000 for a freaking concert ticket, and they pay $1,000. Next thing you know, that's the new norm, you know, and it's like, shit, man.
It's stupid. It's stupid. I, you know, as good a time as I had last night, I'm conflicted. I am not regretting it.
Right.
Because I had a good time and it was a great show, but I'd rather, because, you know, you have hotel. And of course, the night of the show, every hotel was like double. So the hotel room was like, you know, a regular hotel room that was usually like $150 was like $350. And then you got to eat.
$65 a couple years ago.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, you know, and I guess I could have went up there and I could have drove an hour and a half and then drove an hour and a half. But
that would have sucked.
Man, I don't want to do that. I don't love Bruce Brennan. I'm not camping out for his tickets and I'm not roughing it. So if I'm going, I'm staying in a hotel. So I'll probably spend about $1,400 total, and I'd rather have that in my pocket right now, you know.
Well, but, you know, you got Deadheads and stuff. You know, I know that was a big thing in the 60s and 70s, and like people would base their entire lives around following the Grateful Dead around. And, like, I just wonder how much
people
that
do
costs
that with
now.
Pearl Jam.
People still do that with Fish and stuff. And like that's going to cost
a lot of. Well, you know, those people though, they're kind of gotten. They've turned living on a shoestring budget into an art form. Like, Like, I'm not sleeping in a van with no air conditioning.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not eating Chef Boyardee out of a can every night. That's not part of my plan. Like, if I'm going to follow the Grateful Dead around or whatever they're called now, it's like, okay, they're playing in Sacramento. Where's the Four Seasons? You know what I mean? So we got to get reservations there, and then I got to catch a flight. You know what I mean? So it would cost me $1 million to follow them fuckers. I'd be trying to travel like they do. But if you are, I mean, some people, man, they just figure out how to do it real cheap. So anyway, what's going on in the fucking news right now?
Oh Lord.
Let me just bring this up right now. Okay. Let me just school you. Do you know what BRICS, BRICS? Do you know what that is?
Heard it. What is it?
Okay, it stands for Brazil, Russia, Iran, or India, not Iran, India, China, now South Africa. So BRICS. Africa. It's like a NATO. Yeah. Okay. There's other countries in there too. The latest on that is Mexico now wants to join. So now American news is painting Mexico. Oh, they're supporting dictatorships or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Russia just announced that they are going to stop trading on the U.S. dollar. All their transactions are going to be done in Chinese yuan. Saudi Arabia is in talks with China to do the same thing. So this goes on what we said last time. Remember?
No, that's Japanese.
The Iran. No, that's a yen, right?
What are the Chinese? They don't use yuan. That's Korean. They use yuan too?
I think so, yeah. I could be wrong, but I think it's Chinese yuan, yeah.
That's a good question.
I don't know. I could Google it if my
Jamie.
phone wouldn't
No,
be
we don't have a
yeah,
Jamie yet.
yeah. Anyway, we'll just say Chinese money.
Chinese money, yeah. Yuan South Korean, but
yeah.
I want to know what there's another thing with China too, but after you finish.
Well, what I'm saying is we talked about this peace treaty between Iran and Saudi Arabia being brokered by China. Russia's now going to use Chinese currency on the world stage. Mm-hmm. We'll just put it in layman's terms because I'm not smart enough to tell you how markets fluctuate. Iran attacked one of our bases in Syria with a suicide drone. Okay. Mexico is wanting to join BRICS. You know, I don't know the details of it, to be honest with you. Yeah. I just know that there's a lot of this shit going on, and this BRICS is getting bigger, and a lot of it. And I just happened to catch our commander in chief, who I give no credit to, either bad or good or bad. Like, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, but he's the person they send out there, and he says what they tell him to say. But they seem unaffected when asked about the treaty between Iran and Saudi Arabia. It's like, well, peace in the Middle East is good for everybody. And then when asked about, you know, the fucking the currency thing, it's like they brush it off. I don't know why. Maybe am I being a tinfoil hat conspiracy alarmist? But this is, to me, looks like the American dollar is about to fucking be worthless.
Yeah, we're facing a collapse.
And not only that, one of the things that I forgot to mention on that, this new BRICS confederation of countries using the Chinese currency, they want to base it on a gold and silver standard, or if it's not already. Yeah. So we're getting our asses kicked on the international market, I guess you would say. On the international stage, we're getting smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We've got, I believe. Here's the thing. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe, because I saw one report said that even the UK was looking at BRICS.
Who knows? I mean, it makes sense. Remember what I said, how we're going to be the assholes and we're going to be the ones that get fucked the most when all this shit goes down?
Traditionally what happens when countries want to get off of our dollar and they don't want to trade in our dollar, like Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan.
What happens?
Regime change, you know? So,
hey guys, it was a good run, United States of America, but we're... Yeah,
I mean, I hate to fucking. I don't know what to. Because, you know, people want to laugh at these guys that are prepping, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't prepped. I got enough ammo to like resupply, maybe, you know, but I don't have food, and I don't have a shelter. I don't own land. I don't have an ark. Yeah, I don't have a bunker, you know. And I'm hearing on April 1st that there's going to be a big event. Now, again, who do you believe? Right. You got this guy that used to work for Merrill Lynch, and he's sitting down with the guy that used to work for Blackstone, and this guy was like a national fucking guru, whatever, with the government, and they're talking about April 1st being this, I don't know, this, I guess a lot of the baby boomers are dying, and they're going to be dying in the next 15 years. So all of their retirement funds and all of their assets are going to transfer to their kids, and it's to the tune of like $38 trillion or something like that. That's big. And like the banks don't have it.
Yeah.
Like the money's not there. Like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It worries me because, I mean, all these countries, what are we going to do? Everybody clings to this notion that we all have guns, so that's why no one will ever invade. But what is the percentage of people in this country that are going to fight a foreign invader?
Nobody.
You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe like the ones who can are going to be annihilated quickly.
Like the past 10 years has been nothing but angry. I always say this, and I hate to be cliche, but like angry white dudes wearing dad jeans and carrying M4s, and they're like, "Oh, the time's coming for good men to do evil things." I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up. You ain't gonna do nothing.
Exactly, Mr.
You're not gonna do anything.
Fucking truck.
What they're doing is they're saying this stuff, and they're hoping that a hero comes along,
exactly.
and then they can
Who's gonna be the
cling to
fucking
him.
hero?
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest with you right now, especially going into an election year, and I know this is gonna probably sound. It's gonna sound shocking coming out of my mouth, but I think, as of today, I don't think Trump's our guy anymore, bro.
No.
I don't think he's our guy. I know that I've rolled with him, and a lot of it was I got addicted to seeing him like win and like fuck people. You know, he's always his smart ass comments and all that. But I don't think he's our guy anymore, man. I'm starting to kind of think that maybe he's bullshit.
I think they all are. I always have.
Yeah, but Trump was supposed to be the guy that wasn't. Like, you know, Biden is. You know, George Bush was. You know, all these fucking people, they're all bullshit, you know. And I didn't believe that about Trump. I thought Trump was like the guy that was like, he could not be bought. He shut down lobbying. You know what I mean? He was even though he might be serving himself in some way, as long as we were getting taken care of, I didn't give a fuck.
Right.
And, I did make more money. My business was a little bit better. Gas wasn't as expensive. I know that's a big one for people. I don't know how much he had to do with that. But
I love when people say that the president has nothing to do with the fucking gas price. That's
well, I think he doesn't, but he does in a way, whereas, like, say, the oil companies, like, they know that they can get away with certain things with this administration in power. Like with Trump, he would have done something. Maybe he would have executive ordered something, you know what I mean? But with this administration now, they know they can get away with it. I don't know. Politics in this country is too convoluted, and it's all owned.
It
like,
is. I mean,
honestly, we were talking about it before with the TikTok thing. Yeah. Like the only reason why TikTok is in congressional hearings right now is because they are kicking Facebook and Google's ass. And Facebook and Google have millions of dollars tied into political campaigns on both sides, Republicans and Democrats. You know what I mean? Not only that, the way our politicians trade on the open market, they may be losing money in their stocks. So, like, because they're not doing anything different. So
I just, like, why even worry about it? Because nobody can do shit about it.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing we need to worry about, because look what's going on around us in the world.
We need to, but like you said, who's going to be the hero?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's fucking scary, dude.
It is.
So
that's,
So Trump didn't get arrested. That was the thing that I had on the board up there. Yeah. And I was going to come in here and defend him, like the whole Stormy Daniels thing. But what got me was Ann Coulter. You know who Ann Coulter is? Mm-hmm. I like her. I think that she's a shill for the Republican Party in that side, but really she's independent. Like, she's been on Bill Maher's show, but she wrote this book, and the name escapes me. I didn't read the book, but basically her contention was that Donald Trump used this book that she wrote as the playbook for his campaign, how he went about with his issues and everything. But when he got in power and she met with him, she got the impression that he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He wasn't interested. He had fucking Kim Kardashian coming in next. So, you know what I mean? So he snubbed her, I guess, and she got offended. So there is that. Maybe she's just mad that she didn't get a seat at the table. But when she starts saying, like, this guy, he really don't fucking get it, that's when I start, because I don't know him. Yeah. I'm not going to go hang out with him. So I have to go on people that I trust, that I like their opinions on shit. But I don't think he's our guy.
No. And who's in line after him?
I mean, more of the same. You got DeSantis.
But
he's a Republican. Like, he's an actual Republican.
Yeah. I've stepped back and I threw my hands up a long time ago.
Yeah.
And kind of was like, I don't care. But now I really don't care because regardless, the only people that are going to fucking be okay are the ones who are not sitting in this room right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's why I don't vote.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, you didn't vote. I'm like, no, I'm not voting. I'm not voting for, I'm not a Republican. And there's no candidate out there, there's no party that represents me. And I'm not going to take the lesser of two evils. That's some bullshit.
Like, you see that dumpster fire burning outside? Let me go throw a fucking cup of water on it. That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
I just always hear, well, then you don't have no right to complain. And I got to roll with George Carlin on that one.
Yeah.
Like, I got more right to
George
complain
Carlin
than you,
sums it
motherfucker.
up.
I didn't vote for none of this.
Yeah.
You know, you voted for it. Whether or not you voted for who's in power now, you voted to keep this fucking system in place.
What do you think would actually happen? I mean, this is a stupid scenario, but this is like, I just thought of something. You know how they say, what's the best way to boycott something? Everybody gets together on social media and they like black out. Yeah. You know, like, don't fucking go to Walmart today. Has that ever happened? Probably
People
not.
won't do it.
But what if it did? Like, what if on November 8th, or November 7th, sorry. See, I'm...
Whatever. Yeah.
What if enough people got together where the entire country did not vote? What would happen? What would really happen?
Well, there's actually contingencies in place for that.
Right.
Not for that exact scenario, but the Electoral College does not have to go with the popular. Obviously, it's not a popular vote. I don't want to educate everybody on our system, but 20 million people can vote for candidate A and 15 million can vote for candidate B, and candidate B can still win based on the states that he carries. Right. But that Electoral College does not have to go with what their state majority is. They can fucking change if they want. They can vote who they want. So if everybody didn't vote, they'd be like, okay, your vote hasn't mattered for fucking 100 years. So I mean, stay the fuck home and let us handle this, poor people. Let us handle this, peasants. You know, so
peons,
pretty much. I mean, Olive Garden goers, you know what they calling us after the January 6th thing? I'll see you at Olive Garden. You know, that's how they look at us. Yeah. Like, we don't have a right. And honestly, look at my Facebook page. You motherfuckers don't have a goddamn, I don't want you in the decision-making process either. If you can't figure out the little things, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can't, like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
People care more about what fucking the Jenners are doing at the Grammys than they do about like what the fucking banks are doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I don't know. How do we wake up stupid in this world?
I think it's too far gone. What was that? What did that Russian defector in the early 80s? He called it something. Was it? There's a CIA. It was called
what was it called?
I just heard it today too.
He just talks about how it takes a full generation, which has gone by already, and we're now at the brink of that, to completely demoralize a nation and take away a nation from itself. And that's what's happened, you know? And he's like, these ideas will find themselves penetrating into places where they would never be ever before, and now that's the norm.
Yeah. And like, fascism came to America wrapped in a fucking American flag. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think Ronald Reagan said that.
So
they will come carrying a Bible and wrapped in an American flag. And people are just fucking... It's ridiculous to me, the issues that I see people fucking arguing about. Even on our... let's go take a break so I can piss and hit that air conditioner because I'm getting a little hot. We caught some flack on social media about our last podcast, and really? I want to get into it.
Ooh, from who?
I mean, I ain't gonna call anybody. I didn't write their names down. I just saw comments, and then people that like I talked to that watched it. So, I mean, we're not appealing to millions of people right now, but it's cool to see some interaction.
Absolutely.
But we caught a little flack, so let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I contemplated it, and I'll get there. You know what I mean? I got to start getting back to where I'm going. Probably when it gets warm and I don't have to put a wetsuit on, and I'll go a lot more. But that's
you're right. It's tiring, dude.
Yeah.
Remember me fucking paddling around the whole time at Johnny Mercer's trying to catch that little section that never fucking showed up, and then as soon as we got out, remember how it looked when we were getting out at the pier? How it just lined perfect lines. I was like, you see that? That was like 6 feet high.
Mm-hmm. There was some out there about 8 feet.
Yeah, especially at the end of the pier. Yeah. But I got annoyed because.
Hey, we're recording right now, and you gave me this fucking candy, and I can't.
But I fucking, dude, I was done. Like, by the time we got out there, it was nice. It was perfect.
You see that fin? I showed you that fin that I got on the BBC,
sick, dude. Yeah,
I can't wait to get that thing out.
You got the eyes on it?
I got the eyes on it, but I got them on crooked. I couldn't. But I ordered a vinyl sticker. I ordered a vinyl sticker of the podcast logo. It's going to go on the nose.
Oh, sick.
Because I ain't nose riding, so there ain't going to be no wax up there. And then I got one that says Stealth Bomber.
Nice.
To go on there. It's my 10-foot epoxy surfboard. I've got flat black. It's
Dude,
with a big 10 inch 2 millimeter, I guess, is a 10-2 rudder. Yeah. Like that big. I mean, if I run over anybody with that, it's going to fucking decapitate them.
So a crazy thing too, that shark, like that looked real to me.
Yeah.
I was like, holy!
Can't believe anything on the news anymore.
But then I started looking at it, and I was like, wait a minute. It looked real. It was a really good Photoshop job. But if you looked at the shark and its patterning, there were slight differences in all the different pictures. And I noticed because that shark had a patch of gray going down its face.
Yeah.
And in the last picture, it was just a straight gray across it.
Well, surfers surf with sharks. That's just they're out there. It's the ocean, and sharks they don't want to fuck with us. They don't they don't like the taste of us. We don't have to really contend with great whites so much. I mean, I know there's one or two out there, but there are guys like in South Africa and Hawaii, like that's what they have. Yeah, they have great white sharks.
Tiger sharks.
Yeah, we have tiger sharks.
Bull sharks out here is what scares me. Like I'm afraid of bull sharks, man.
Yeah, that's why I got the stickers.
Yeah.
I started reading, and of course, it's not my idea, but I started reading, and it led me to buy these stickers of these big eyeballs, whites of eyes. Mm-hmm. If they see the whites of eyes, they lose the element of surprise. Because, when you see a shark attack, they usually pass by, unless it's reactive. Feeding frenzy, it's biting whatever's in the water if he's hungry. But usually they'll go by and they'll stalk their prey, and then they'll kind of come up from behind it. Well, when you're sitting on your board, your nose is up out of the water. Your tail is sunk down in the water. Right. So you put those big fucking blue eyes with the whites of eyes. So when they come up, they see those eyes, and they did tests, and sharks did deter. So I got some. I got them because I thought they looked cool.
Have you seen the ankle bracelet?
Yeah. I've got a bracelet that's got like magnets or something that deters them. Yeah.
I believe in that because they're more electromagnetic sensors than anything. But
you know why I've never worn it?
Why's that?
Because I believe I don't know. If I wear it, it's going to attract them or something. Yeah. Whatever it is that's distracting this shark that day, this shark might be attracted to it. Yeah. And I figure I've seen them. We see them. Like sometimes you look down and you see that. You may not know it's a shark, but it's a big fish, so you know what kind of big fish is in the surf. And it's not a bluefish. They're like this big.
Did you see that one that got pulled up the fucking pier while we were out there?
Yeah, you told me about it.
Yeah, it was like a bull shark, dude. That thing was about this big.
I've caught him.
I was trying to get your attention. I was like, buddy, because he was reeling up and it was taking him a while. But
I caught a 9-foot tiger shark off that pier.
That's big enough to fucking kill you.
Here's the thing, though. We think it was 9 foot because you got to remember we're not. I didn't get it to the shore because there was some doofus behind me that was like, I'm a marine biologist and that's just endangered species. But that particular type of tiger shark was not. So we got him almost to the shore, and I was fighting him for about 45 minutes. And when you're fighting a fish that big, it inconveniences a lot of people. So we got a good look at him, and then I cut him loose.
Right.
But we think he was 9 feet. He could have been bigger, but yeah.
Yeah.
They're aggressive.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're out there, but they don't want to fuck with you.
They want to fuck shit up though. They do. Like they don't want to be like they're not like I'm gonna go nail that human, but like if they see something flopping around, they'll fucking go attack.
They think it's something else. So I'm hoping that the 10-foot BBC looks like a big predator with eyes and the shark, but it might attract the big. It might be like some bull fucking great white come in there and be like, whales. Fuck this motherfucker up.
But what cracks me up about that though is the eyes look like they just look like people eyes.
They're human eyes.
But it's just funny because it's like they're like these sweet little blue eyes.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna be like fucking orca eyes or something like that, but no, that's cool.
I watched a whole thing on eyes. One guy thinks that the relationship between humans and dogs is because we have whites of eyes and you can see emotion. Oh. I can look into your eyes and I can sense your emotion because I can see the whites of your eyes. That's true. But if you're like gorillas and apes and shit and other mammals, they don't have whites of eyes, so they just always look docile or stern or mean or whatever.
Dogs have whites of eyes.
Yeah. That's why we can communicate with a dog. We can't. We think that they understand what we're saying, but they can look in our eyes. A dog knows whenever you're. Yeah. You can call it a sixth sense. Yeah. But like real, like people that don't want to, that want to study it, like and really understand it, and not just feel like they understand it. They think it's from eyes.
Could be.
because that's why dogs always looking at you. You know.
Yeah. They. Oh, dude. Oh, you want to hear it, man? We're just talking for.
Whatever.
We're going,
yeah.
right? Yeah. You want to hear about like just how crazy dogs are, like. For instance, my dad and stepmom's dogs, right? They had a mutt dog that was like a terrier, and they had their wiener dog Bo, and
a dachshund, by the way.
Dachshund, yeah, Dachshund. I call him wiener dog. Man. Yeah, a little fucking bird dog. Looks like a little bird. But while my parents were like, while my stepmom specifically, because she's the one that spent most time with them, like those dogs, whenever you go over there, like they were riled the fuck up. They would bark at everything. Every little noise, they would start flipping out, right? They would growl. But after she passed and we went to the house, you could tell they were mourning. But, dude, that dog, the one dog that my sister took, she took the terrier. He's like the next day.
Probably because her energy was all fucking bad. You said she was.
Be it, man.
I don't want to talk bad about your stepmom.
No, but you know,
going on what you said.
I believe in that shit, yeah.
Like, I know that any dog that's around me, I'm hoping that it's not so much the case anymore. They're probably going crazy because I'm yelling at the TV, you know, and the dog's looking at me and looking at the TV, and he's like, what the fuck? We're going to fuck something up? You know, and then I'll like sneak up, you know, the dog will just be chilling, and I'll sneak up on him and just start wrestling with him and fuck him up, and the dog, you know, because we forget that they're dogs. They're not people. They don't think like we do, you know. And then you got the people out there that think that dogs are like their fucking kids, and like the crazy cat ladies are like now the ladies that like go to the shelter just to pet puppies. And
real quick, little podcast topic right there, the dog parent shit.
Oh my god,
like
I fucking hate it.
I get it, man. Everything, like I said, I always say this about everything. Everything in 2023 is a fucking thing. There's a thing for everything. You can't deny that. Dude.
Yeah, but these women, it's usually women. There are some dudes out there that, but it's mainly women.
But it's like, I get it. You don't have kids. Dogs can be kids. You know, you take good care of them. But if a dog fucking gets killed under your watch, you don't go to jail.
Yeah.
You can't just fucking you can put your kids up for adoption if you get tired of them. It's really fucked up, and you're going to have a fucking serial killer on your hands, or someone who, you know, becomes a prostitute or a stripper.
Right.
But not the same, man.
Yeah, I think it's
not the same.
I think any rational person would hear us talking about that and get bored with us because it's fucking.
It's just funny.
It's a known thing, but there are people out there, and I used to live with one for like 6 weeks.
Dog mom.
That was one of the reasons why I bailed the fuck out of there so quick. But they really, really believe, like, never had kids, but gonna look at me and say, well, you know, because when you're talking about the welfare of a child, right, until you have kids, you don't understand. I didn't understand.
Exactly.
I thought before I had kids, I heard people say that, and I would be like, I mean, you're just saying that because you're assuming some type of moral high ground. You know, some people will just automatically assume the moral high ground in a conversation. You used to get it a lot from Christians. Yeah. You know, they'd be like, well, I'm a Christian, and then they would like, that's them taking the moral high ground because you're not. So it don't really work anymore. But back in the 80s, you know, the old days, it did. And you could quote a Bible verse. Right. And back then we had to be, for some reason, if somebody brought up religion, you know, out of nowhere, we're not talking about religion, we're talking about the state of the nation, and someone goes, well, you just have to go look at the Bible, and everybody would be, even if you disagreed with them, like, you'd say, yeah. But now you can be like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. You know, I don't fucking read that.
And that's, everything's
like, seriously? Like, have you read the Bible versus what we're talking about? You know, but you know, they'll find it. But when you have kids, you understand. So, and if you have kids, I don't have to make you understand that, but to talk to somebody when we're talking about the welfare of a child, whatever the case may be, for them to say, well, I know I never had kids, but I do have dogs. No. If you encounter a person like that, distance yourself. If it's a girlfriend or if it's your family, I mean, okay, that's, you know, everybody's got a crazy cat lady, you know, or you know,
not gonna mention any names, but a certain someone I know, and I can't, you know, I love her.
Yeah.
Not my wife or anything, but family member.
Yeah.
Compares, you know, she sought refuge in animals her entire life, and she has a soft spot for animals, and that's great, and she takes care of every animal. So
now you got me not wanting to make smart comments because this could be someone close to you, but you're not mentioning who they are.
No,
but
dude,
usually it's because they're trying to fill some type of void.
Talk away.
They have a void. They got a hole somewhere in there.
There's no denying there's a void. There's no denying there's a void to fill there. You know, fucking absolutely no denying that. But Like, I just catch myself just, that's another thing these days is just tolerating, man. Whatever. As long as it's not fucking taking food off your plate, just be like, cool, But
a lot of people think from my Facebook post that I don't like dogs. Okay. I have a dog. And when I got the dog, it was the worst. It was the worst. I love the dog. We're going to make it work. Okay. But it was the wrong breed for like, people were like, oh my God, you don't even like dogs and you got a Belgian Malinois. If you read my post, you'll never hear me say that I don't like dogs. And I always said, it's not the dogs, it's you. It's the dog owner that I fucking can't stand. They're my kids, or, they're shitting in the fucking yard. I live in an apartment complex, and you're allowed to have dogs, which in Fayetteville means everybody go get 2 fucking Connie Corsos or 2 pit bulls, and you can see through the window of an apartment when the fucking blinds are all fucked up. Now, this is not the hood, but you let people have dogs. I'm getting the fuck out of there quick. But they don't pick up their dog shit. Like, I pick up my dog shit. That's part of having a dog.
That's another thing. Like, our kids don't, like, you want to say, like, oh, a dog is a kid. You let your fucking kid go shit on people's lawns?
Yeah. Or just shit in the fucking house.
Or shit in their house and not flush it?
Or jump up on the fucking counter. Like, these people that, I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm cooking a fucking steak, and my full-grown dog, my puppy, you got to give puppies a little bit of grace, but full-grown dog jumps up and grabs the steak off the counter, that dog's going to your house or free to good home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've got my dog. I actually got a good dog, man. She's real smart. Obviously, she's a Belgian Malinois. They're very hyper. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? But I still know, and of course, she don't sleep in the bed. But I don't watch TV in the living room. Yeah. Like, my living room gets cleaned like once a week because no one ever goes in there. We don't even sit on the couch. The TV's not even like plugged in. Right. So when I'm watching TV, I'll let her jump up on the bed with me. And Jody just took a picture of the dog laying next to me. It was like, who said no dogs in the bed type of thing? But she won't sleep in the bed with me. But it's not dogs that I don't like. It's dog owners that I fucking can't stand.
Up, man. Like, that's just everything. Like, people fuck everything up. But anyhow, let's get to this drama.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Well, maybe I oversold it. So we were having a conversation on the last podcast. There was 2 instances that I remember. Yeah. One was about whatever we were talking about, and it was pretty important. And I said, I asked you if you cared veterans? If I brought my kids to, I said, do you care if I bring my kids to transvestite story hour? Do you really care? No. Are you going to be rude to me if I'm dressed like a female and I'm checking you out at the store, ringing up your groceries? Are you going to be like, thanks, dude, be an asshole? I think we both agreed. Mm-hmm. There was a guy, and I don't recall his name because I think it came up as Apple user, but he really went off on this transgender thing. And I think, again, social media, and I shouldn't have responded the way I did. I was like, dude, calm down. There's help for that, because he was really high. We had a few exchanges. But at the end of the day, I was like, first of all, I never said anything about trans kids. I never said anything about trans kids at all. I didn't say anything about that. We were having a conversation about issues like these countries forming alliances around us and not wanting to use our dollar, which is going to collapse our currency, and our leaders are showing us balloons, and here we are arguing about, you didn't call me him, or you called me him, and you assume my gender. That was the topic of the conversation, and that right there kind of proved it, because everything that we were saying went out the window. And he wanted to engage with me or us about the transgender issue, which is not a really... First of all, it's not even an issue. It can be made into one. We can have a conversation about it, but it's like it's the small minority of the left. Even the crazy left. That's a small transgendering kids we weren't even talking about. But it kind of proved my point that we're trying to talk about these big issues, but nobody cares. They want to talk about these little issues. Yeah. He eventually came back and apologized, said he was having a bad day at work. So hey, all good. Yeah. I'm glad that you actually, it's on our short, because, I post a lot of shorts. Right. I don't know how many people are actually watching. We're not Joe Rogan, and, I'm not fucking Russell Brand, and you're not fucking Cary Grant. So, I don't know how many people
we're actually way fucking cooler than all those guys, but
I don't know. Russell Brand's pretty cool. Yeah, Joe Rogan's pretty good. I listened to him and Andrew Schultz. This is a recent one for like 2 hours. They didn't talk about anything. They just talked about like shit we are, but they're just cooler than us, I guess.
The only thing that bums me out about Rogan is, like I said, I just recently caught some shorts and stuff. Like, that guy's addressed a lot of the stuff that I think of.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, now I can't talk about that anymore.
No, I don't, what fascinates me about Joe Rogan is he's doing the podcast thing. We all know his Spotify deal, and he makes a lot of money. He just opened up a kick-ass club in Austin that I want to fly down.
Now, about Joe Rogan, let me ask you something, because I get, like I said, I don't choose sides, really. If it's cool, it's cool. If it's bullshit, it's bullshit to me, But is Rogan, like, seen as, like, a right-wing icon now?
No. If you listen, here's the thing, and I get it all the time, mainly from right-wingers. They're like, oh, would Joe Rogan say that? I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast along with other podcasts, but when you say, I heard on Joe Rogan's not a commentator. He's basically, he brings in, let's say that maybe he thinks at one time he thought that universal basic income was a good thing. Everybody getting money for nothing. He brings in people that support universal basic income. He brings in people that are against it, and he has a conversation with them. And he's not really one-sided. He has an opinion, but he stays pretty open-minded, in my opinion. And his mind will change. Like now, he's against it. Right. So after the whole COVID thing, he was like,
I think that's what did it. Actually, his whole ivermectin shit with COVID. Like, you have people that believe in the vaccine 100%, don't question it.
Idiots. Fuck you.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I didn't back then because I was like,
did you get it?
Fuck no.
Oh,
dude.
okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
no. Didn't. Sorry, y'all. I don't believe in that shit.
Fuck no. I know people that got it, and I'm like, are you fucking serious?
That's a whole nother fucking.
It's your business. It's your business. But like the people that were like, oh, are you a? I've had somebody ask me if I was a good American. Did I get vaccinated? Are you a good American? In the VA. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
What cracks me up, though, like, this is what fucking gets me about it, is, like, you've got all this resistance pushed back against the government right now. You've got the woke movement, which is like, fuck the government, it's all lies. Until the vaccine came around, it's like...
No, the woke movement is all about the government. That's the thing. They're all about government
the guise
control.
That it's not,
That you would think that the woke movement being considered, it's not. It might be left-wing in the sense that fascism and then the Nazi, the German Socialist Party was left-wing, but they're not left-wing like I think left-wing. I consider myself a liberal. If you ask me my opinions on, but if you see, people assume that I'm a Republican. You know what I mean?
Right.
They assume that I'm a conservative because I'm a little bit conservative, but I'm actually like a classical liberal. But a classical liberal, which would be like Bill Maher in 10 years ago. And Bill Maher's being considered by the woke left that he's like a right winger. And Joe Rogan, because he took, and they got you with the horse dewormer. Every news station across the country, local news, fucking CNN, every fucking news station, they all said this. They all said horse dewormer. They all repeated it. It's propaganda. You repeat it enough and people start believing it.
No, here's the thing. Because I know people close to me that had horrible experiences with COVID. Like, I know it's just, there's those people that it affected them in horrible ways. Like, one of my close friends, I believe it, I don't want to put his information out there, but we'll just say a family member caught it and it completely reprogrammed their body and they went and now they are completely disabled because of it.
What was their state before they caught COVID? Perfectly healthy?
Oh yeah. And
I don't know. Yeah.
He went and, dude was hospitalized for months. He almost died. And that was pretty hardcore. And he, they got vaccinated because they didn't want to. They felt it was a protection against that and against.
But how do they feel now that they know it's not? And I don't want to. I mean, this is an old fucking dead horse.
Yeah, this is a dead horse.
First, it was it's going to stop the spread, and then it was well, if you get it, then you'll be sick, but you won't have to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I did not get it. Yeah. I never wore a mask. Never. Only time I ever wore a fucking mask was when I got on the airplane to go. It was in the beginning.
I remember that. Yeah, you were posting about it.
Yeah, and I had to because had I not put the mask on, they were threatening to turn the plane around. We were already up in the air.
Right.
That's how.
Dude, what the fuck?
And they were like, "We'll turn this plane around." I was like, "Oh shit!" I wanted to go to Cabo. I was going to Cabo.
Papers, please. They would have opened the fucking emergency exit and booted your ass.
But I've got video. I've got video of me walking through fucking LaGuardia in the height of COVID when I was on the way to Texas.
I remember that.
I ain't wearing it.
And everyone's looking at you all crazy.
No,
you were recording, weren't you?
But yeah, I was recording the whole time, and nobody said anything because generally
they didn't say anything. But guarantee you, I fucking promise you, right now. Let's say you pass 50 people that day in the airport. I bet you out of those 50 people, at least 30 of their fucking someone was like, real quick.
Yeah.
And they're probably on fucking Facebook like,
you're right.
Look at
Good.
this motherfucker.
Good. And
hashtag fucking doesn't care about humanity.
I'm sure there was a percentage that were like, because there were guys that took their mask off when I walked into the bar.
That's the shit we were talking about.
They were like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad someone thinks like me." Why do I, But if we would all not wear it, but you wait for someone else to do it, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to take my mask off too, since he's got his off."
You just brought it up in today, and we just proved the point that shit people won't say in person.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, not one person said a word to you in the airport.
No, not one.
But I promise you showed up on someone's fucking Facebook or someone's Instagram.
Good, I hope I did.
That's the kind of shit, man, that the fucking internet does.
Yeah.
Like, people who know me and what I'm talking about right now, I'm proud to say that I can have the same conversation right now on this podcast.
Hey.
I know, the internet does that. It fucking gives everyone a fucking platform.
I'm guilty of it.
We all are.
I admitted it. But now at least I'll look before I go off on somebody to see whose page it is before.
But the fact that you fucking walked through the airport without a mask on during the height of COVID, not one person fucking tried to confront you.
There was a lady in the baggage claim area. I was just coming down the stairs, and she had her mask around her chin, and she told me I had to put my mask on. I said, "You don't even have your fucking mask on." Yeah. And she lifted it up, and I just ignored her.
Well, the fact that no one, for instance, like on the internet, those people who walked right by you were probably like, if they see someone not, like people that believe in it.
Yeah.
And think that, retards. Will probably go on and see somebody like, oh, look at this guy. Like, look at this asshole sharing it on Facebook. But
my favorite were the guys that had the fucking "Don't Tread on Me" mask.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you seriously? You have a fucking mask on that says "Don't tread on me"? Like, motherfucker, they got their fucking boot on your neck right now. They got you got a leash around your fucking neck, and you're talking about don't. That's what I'm talking about. That's what our country is now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's on Facebook. I say Facebook in this sense because people that are on fucking Snapchat, all the other ones, they don't care about this. They're more concerned about, what Kim Kardashian's doing with her, what Kanye's up to, or where Post Malone fucking passed out in a ditch somewhere. They care about that. Yeah. But Facebook is like, everybody's waiting on a fucking hero. One of the comments that I made on the last podcast, I said, operators, DevGru, CAG, all the the cool fucking operator, like the fucking super soldiers, that they didn't really care about the politics. They just soldiers. So I had one guy say, and I said, you got to give him an outlet, and then I made the comment, not everybody can play professional football. Right. That's a joke because some of those people,
the people that didn't deploy,
all the people that like football. But I think Tom Brady might have made a comment. Compared himself to being in the military and everybody. But where I'm going with this is even people on our side, okay, we're going to consider ourselves just regular Americans, okay? Yeah. We're probably more conservative, liberal, whatever. We're in the middle. But even our side's got some fucking babies, man, because they'll agree with you, but then I make a comment like that's a joke. And they get all bent out of shape like, how dare you compare our heroes to some football player? Like, you want to call everybody a fucking snowflake. You want to be like, oh, snowflake. But then I say something like, not everybody can play professional football, so some guys go and become Delta Force operators. Yeah. And you're like, oh, my God, you just compared our fucking soldiers, our heroes to a football. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of similarities to pro football players and professional soldiers. A lot of similarities, okay?
I mean, it's not
I'm going to say that.
It's not that serious to make that comparison.
I mean, do you know what it takes? Do you know what it takes? You were in the military. You were an infantry soldier, okay? And I was too, okay? So we were both on the same infantry. Of course, I was on active, jump status, so I'm a little cooler. But no, what I'm saying is we were in the part of the Army that was kind of like, I don't want to say little league, but if we showed up for practice, we were like large force. Yeah. Okay, so if you got enough guys that were trained, because it's not our fault. We went to the range when they told us to go to the range. We fucking did mount tactics when we got access to the range. We didn't do it every fucking day. When you go to fucking Navy SEALs, Delta Force, you go to Marine Raiders, I think they're called now, they do that shit every day. Yeah. Like, they fucking shoot 500 rounds of their special weapon they used to anyway.
Lead poisoning.
Yeah, like you're shooting, all right? If you just show up for fucking practice and you run through the drills, you're not going to make it as a super fucking cool Delta Force soldier. Navy SEAL. I don't want to put them all in the same category. An operator. We'll just say operator. If you just show up for fucking practice in football and you run the drills and you go home and get on your Xbox, you're not going to make it to the fucking pros.
Right.
You got to be on and off the field 24/7. You're constantly in this.
And your body gets fucked up too.
And your body gets fucked up, but you make a commitment to this thing. Like, you can be in the infantry. Hell, you could even be in special forces and just show up, run through the drills, and go home. You know, even Green Berets got guys handing out spoons in the chow hall. Yeah. You know, not everybody's kicking down doors. You know, not everybody's doing that shit. Right. You know, and I don't mean that as a fucking like diss, but it just is what it is. You know what I mean? You have these top tier, or now, you know, special forces would be considered the best of the best. Then Delta Force would be the best of the best of the best. You know what I mean?
Everybody
and if you're going to make it to that, so if you're going to make it to the NFL or the Major League Baseball, there's some similarities, and I don't think that I should be blasted or, you know, some snowflake on the right talking about, oh, I just compare. I'm not comparing the two. Obviously, they're different, but the mentality, the drive to be perfect at something is very similar.
It's the same people that get all butthurt about, like, what's, like, I guess Kanye West or someone said going to a concert, like being on stage was like going to war. Yeah. Okay, no, it's not. Sorry, but no, I'm not going to get upset about him saying that. Who fucking cares, man? No. Like, and it's funny because, like, most of the time it is civilian. It's these, like, it's what they call them, FUDs. You ever heard that term before? Oh, dude, it's like the older, like, guys in their 60s and 70s. No offense to y'all out there.
Like Elmer FUDs?
No, they call them FUDs. Like, dudes that still think the 1911's like the best pistol that ever existed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, don't tread on these license plates and fucking, dude, like.
They got their whole military career mapped out on their back window.
Or no, they weren't in the military. But
they weren't. Like, okay.
People who make those kind of comments, like, how dare you compare our heroes to the NFL? It's like, bitch, what are you?
Or,
like,
you know, I'll go as far as to say I don't think that I don't subscribe and I don't agree with everybody that wears a fucking uniform as a hero.
Definitely not, dude.
I don't believe.
I know fucking
our heroes.
I know 3 soldiers who murdered a fucking soldier the weekend they got back from deployment. Hit his fucking body for 6 months.
I'm just saying, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're both good soldiers. We both got honorable discharge. But I'm not a fucking hero. You know, I didn't do. Now, if somebody could.
Now we're getting what defines a hero. That's another whole.
If I ran out under fire and saved your life and risked my life, and maybe I got wounded, I'm not saying I wouldn't do that. I just was never put in that situation.
Now, do me a favor.
If I did that, then call me a hero, and I'm going to be like, no, I'm not a hero. But keep calling me.
Don't edit that and put just that on TikTok, because you're going to fucking actually go viral if you do, because there's a bunch of little fucks that want to down the military that will take that and use it in their context.
Yeah, whatever.
That's the internet, man. Like, shit. Yeah. That's what I was saying, like that clip you showed earlier of the thing you shared on Facebook with, you know, the January 6th, like
the insurrection.
Yeah. That's what you can do now, man. Yeah. It's crazy because, like,
I don't know what to
someone's
believe
going to
believe
it.
Like, I don't know what to believe anymore. Seriously. I've been deep faked. Like, little things. Like I said, the whole Theo Vaughn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just right there.
But, man, like that shark.
Now,
I got deep faked.
Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I knew this person. Fake ass Democrat, but I knew this person.
I know this person.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what it was. Yeah. If it was in line with something that person did not agree with, it was always fake.
Yeah.
Oh, they can just fake it.
That's everybody.
But they're not faking it when it's something you agree with. It's only when you don't agree with it.
Right. That's America. That's everyone. That's America, man. That's everyone, dude. Like, or, you know, you take. Oh God, I could beat this horse for years.
Well, we have to, because that's what what else is there to talk about?
You have the crowd who, you know, you got the people saying, "Oh, Trump's a racist," and then you got the fucking people on Trump's side saying, Biden's a racist. Well, if you take away the fucking context.
But no, you know what the thing is, though? Seriously, in that situation, you cannot bring up anything that Donald Trump. When you say Donald Trump's a racist, you can't find anything where he's saying anything racist. Saying that murderers and rapists are coming across the border from Mexico is not calling Mexicans murderers and rapists. That's like the stupidest. Like, when I hear people say that, again, I'm no longer in Donald Trump's camp anymore, but I got to be rational.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, if you knew Donald Trump before before he was in the 2000, before he went after Obama with the whole birth certificate thing. Donald Trump's been around New York City. I mean, he's been around. Everybody knew who he was, but he was always in the newspaper in New York City. Every day he was in the newspaper. And he was always hanging with like Don King. He was always hanging with Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? He was not somebody you would think to be racist. You know what I mean? At all.
And what happened, like, everybody wanted to fucking beat Donald Trump in the 80s.
Yeah. Because he was just a figure. He was just a rich billionaire, and he's lavish and flamboyant and ridiculous.
That's why I don't get engaged with this shit, because it's all fucking the same. Like, I'm trying to tell people, like, you can take the same people on the same side and they can say their spiel. Mm-hmm. And you take away the words like Trump, you take away the words Biden, you take away the words fucking Democrat, Republican. It's the same fucking thing.
But I would say that Biden is and was a racist.
The dude literally said fucking he didn't want his kids going to school with like black kids.
Turning a school system into a jungle, with the black kids coming in. And then he sponsored that bill that, I mean, let's face it, in the 90s, that super predator bill, that was like a Republican thing. And I think Bill Clinton, because if you want to look at it, Bill Clinton was probably one of the best Republican presidents of the 20th century, because a lot of the stuff that he did was the stuff the Republicans were trying to do under Reagan, but the Democrats controlled the House and the Senate the whole time. They couldn't do shit. So that crime bill...
Bill Clinton was Republican?
No, he was a Democrat. But all of the shit that... the only thing I think that he campaigned on that he actually passes, he was going to allow gays to openly serve in the military, but under Clinton, it became don't ask, don't tell.
And now it's just gone, period.
Now it is, but back then, Bill Clinton kind of got credit for it, but when Bill Clinton was the president, and even after, it was up until, I guess, Obama did away with that thing altogether. If they found out you were gay, they'd still kick you out of the military. Right. Okay, but they weren't allowed to ask you. You had to display homosexual tendencies, which it's a wonder how anybody stayed in the fucking infantry. Because if you lived in the infantry barracks anytime, at least up until 2004 and before that, then you're a little gay. Just a little bit. You've seen some really gay shit. That's like that fucking joke. Did you ever watch Tiger King?
Oh God, yeah.
When he's like, when you watching porn, you see that dick going in that vagina, you see that dick, you like the big ones or the small ones? Well, you ain't that straight.
You ain't that straight.
Well, if you lived in an infantry barracks, you ain't that straight.
Man, oh, dude, that's like I said. We need to have just one. We need to have a podcast where we don't fucking touch politics. We don't touch news. We just talk about stupid shit.
What are we gonna talk about?
There's some funny shit, man.
Like, I mean, I don't know about politics. I want to stay off politics as far as. Well, my side, the Republican Party, we need to move in DeSantis because he did. I can't because I'm not a Republican, and I think the Republicans and the Democrats, the people that control it, it's one party. It's so obvious that it's one party. Like 60% of the big oil and gas lobbying funds, the billions of dollars they put, 60% went to the Republicans, but 40% went to the Democrats. Big Pharma, 60% went to the Democrats, 40% went to... That
still equals 100%.
So if I'm a billionaire and I'm trying to fucking peddle my goddamn drugs or my fucking aspartame, or I want to get this food additive that's going to fucking make your taint shrink, because that is a thing now. Men's taints are shrinking. Okay?
What?
You consume a credit card's weight in plastic every fucking week through microplastics. So if I'm in the plastics business and I want to keep this product on the market because I'm making so much money bottling up fucking water, I'm putting tap water in a plastic bottle and I'm selling it to you, and I want to keep this. So I'm going to hedge my bets. I'm not going to back just the Republicans. I'm going to back the Democrats too, and I'm going to kind of so it's one fucking party. So you can't get me on either side of that. So that's what I want to attack, and I'll keep saying that until people that are out there, goddamn, Trump's gonna save America, and goddamn, da, da, da. And then you hear, you see that fucking Confederate flag hanging off. That we were talking about that. And I'm not stupid, man. But nobody's stupid. I mean, I hear it all the time, and I'm telling people that, because I know there are people that are bigoted. There's still good people. They're a little bigoted. They're not like my family and like my close friends, but they're acquaintances of mine. I got, like, hey, man, we know what you mean when you say thug. So stop saying all these thugs moving in. Like, we know what that's code for, bro. Like, seriously.
But then another thing, too, that cracks me up, man, is like the fucking most outspoken people on the left are like the rich white people that live in like Wilmington where we surf.
Oh, yeah.
How many straight up, Wrightsville Beach, right? Mm-hmm. Fucking how many people of color have you ever seen down there ever?
I mean,
It's rare.
sometimes on the beach.
Yeah.
But then again, black people don't really go to the beach. Not like the way white people do.
But what I'm saying is,
But like in the city, no.
it's funny
hardly
because
ever.
like that area specifically is very sheltered from the rest of fucking like the problem in Wilmington, which is with gangs and stuff, and like
Wilmington's got high
people
crime,
that are
but,
actually fucking people who are actually like marginalized.
Yeah.
And that's what cracks me about the left side too, is like as much as people are bigoted on the right, people on the left are fucking bigoted too, because it's like they want to stand there and go to these
people on the left, in my opinion, whether they know it or not and whether they mean to or not, they are white supremacists.
It's all relative, man.
They are staunch white supremacists. I don't mean that they hate everybody who's not white. They believe that they are privileged.
Yeah.
And they believe that those minorities, marginalized people, as you just called them, need their help, and that they are nothing without them. And they want to give them all the social programs. They want to give them just enough to stay poor and stay the fuck out of their neighborhood.
Exactly. Thank you.
When I was in Austin, I was in a part of Austin. I was in a restaurant, and everywhere you go, there's fucking Black Lives Matter, and of course, it's merged with the gay movement now because every black dude I've ever met really, really cares about trans rights. That's a sarcastic joke. They really don't. You know what I mean? Like Pete Buttigieg couldn't fucking get like 1% of the vote in South Carolina, which is a large black population, because he's gay. So this whole thing, but there's like the only black people in this neighborhood who used to live there, because it used to be predominantly a black neighborhood, but now gentrification, they can't afford it. So now they live under the fucking bridge, but there were people complaining about the guy standing out front of the fucking restaurant asking for money. Maybe those are the Austinites that aren't part of the woke movement, but it's just very ironic. And I believe that some of these woke kids especially, they mean well. They think they're doing, but if you really, really look at it, like I won't call anybody marginalized. I'm not going to call it. I'll say minority to get a point across, but
that's a term that's used a lot.
It's used to get a point, like you're trying to, but it's kind of like they see themselves as superior. Supremacists.
Yep.
You don't think I need your help unless you think you're superior to me.
And it's bitch, just say you don't want fucking poor people, period, in your fucking
you
operations.
Don't want exactly.
Like they don't
even want us there, and we're not poor, but to them we are. And some of those people ain't even that fucking rich. I mean, you're talking about if you live in a $3 million house. I mean, you got some money, you're doing good, but let the fucking stock market crash and you lose 2 paychecks. You're jumping off the fucking balcony. You're not like now. There is money out there. Don't get me wrong. Figure 8 Island, there is money on Wrightsville Beach, but the majority of the people out there that can just barely afford to live there, but they want to be a part of.
Right.
But they definitely want to keep people out. Yes, why there's not a lot of businesses down there.
Yeah.
And I don't understand enough of that politics down there to really dissect it. But
yeah, but it's all over the place, man. It's not just like you just see these motherfuckers who think like they'll put a BLM sign in their lawn.
Yeah.
But then if they see a black person walking down the street, they'll fucking tighten up and move across the street, like walk across the street. It's like, that's why I don't fucking...
Or, here's another thing.
Oh, man.
Now, I grew up here in Fayetteville, okay? I don't know how Fayetteville was in the 70s and the 60s, because I grew up in the mid-80s to 90s, but every school I was ever in was always mixed. There was never more white kids. Maybe when I was younger and I went to Catholic school, it wasn't all white, but maybe it was predominant. When I went to public school in 4th grade on, usually I felt like if I was going to classify myself in a group, I was the minority in my classes. I went to a school district that was just mixed. We didn't really have a issue. I never even thought about it. I can tell you right now, I don't even I guess I'm a white guy, but I've never felt an affiliation to the white race, because what is it? My family came here in the 1930s from Italy. Okay. But even then, I don't even identify as an Italian American, because I don't have I've worked with real guys that are from Italy. I ain't got nothing in common with them. I don't even use the same words. Like they call, there's on TikTok too. There's words that New York Italians have reinvented, like mozzarella. You ever heard that?
No.
It's mozzarella.
Oh,
so you call it mozzarella, but Italians in Brooklyn will be like the mozzarella,
okay.
Or the manicotti. There's all these different. So when I was working with these Italians, and they're like, "What is this mozzarella? What are you talking about?" Yeah. I'm like, "It's mozzarella cheese." They're like, "We don't fucking say that." I'm like, how do you say this? They say mozzarella.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, I don't have nothing in common with them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm an American. I can't say I identify as, I hate that word. I identify. I don't feel an allegiance to the white race.
Yeah.
I never have. I'm just a fucking human. I'm an American. I have more in common. And I've said this to friends of mine in the Army, guys that, I had a friend of mine that was from like the inner cities of Chicago. He was around white people. They were normally cops or people that he was not friends with. And I was like, we don't, I don't know. I don't know. It's such a fucking way to wrap my head around it. Like, for instance, if I'm walking down the street and I see two black guys about to beat the shit out of a white guy, I don't feel any allegiance to have to go in and help that guy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I kind of read the situation. Now, if it looks like they're robbing him, maybe I'll help him. Maybe, I don't know. But if a guy looks like he's trying to fucking buy drugs, it's 3:00 in the afternoon, he's not at work, and I'm like, that ain't none of my fucking business. Yeah. And I tell you, when I was working one day, I had a Puerto Rican guy that worked for me. He was from New Jersey. He's from Puerto Rico, but he grew up in New Jersey.
I
told you about that.
Yeah.
And so we were rolling through an area that was
known for crackheads.
Did I talk about that? I was like, he was like, you don't want to go help him? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's none of my business. About 10 minutes later, I said, well, so if that was two white guys about to beat up a black dude, you would feel like you have to go help him, even that it's probably a drug deal? He was like, yeah. I was like, why? He was like, I don't know. I said, see, white people don't have that. Yeah. Now, some white people, they lie to they join like skinheads and shit like that. Man,
it's just dumb. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand why fucking it gets me down, dude. Because like you said, I've never really felt like I was part of the, white people crew either. But I get all this hate that I feel is directed at me because I'm white.
Yeah,
that shit fucking sucks.
As a kid, though, I'm gonna tell you, even as a kid,
I'm a ginger man.
I thought about that. Like, I remember when Malcolm X, when rap got real pro-African, like Afrocentric, pro-black, like Public Enemy, the Roots, all these, and the EPMD, and it was a lot of. You would think if you were just a white guy, happened to be listening in, don't know anything about what the music is, you think it's like anti-white, and maybe it was, but Malcolm X was a big figure. A lot of people wore the Malcolm X T-shirts, and and there's a lot of white guys that I knew would be like, they would trash it and be like, oh yeah, he was anti-white people, trying to kind of get me to click up. But even as a kid, I just kind of thought about it like, dude, you're talking about 1960s, where in some parts of the country in 1960, even as late as 1968, you couldn't use the same entrance. You had to sit in a different, you couldn't, you were, so a black dude saying, fuck you, honky, that was warranted. Yeah. Like, can't you understand why he's saying that? Like, it was right. You know what I mean? So even then, I kind of had that attitude.
1997, Jasper, Texas, they drug that guy behind the fucking car.
Yeah, that's where the hate crime bill came from.
Shit's...
Yeah, and you can't stomp that out. You can't change... When they talk about systemic racism in America, I'm like, it don't exist. But then they hear me say something like what I just said.
And now you're a fucking white supremacist.
No, but what I just said about Malcolm X, like, yeah, goddamn, if I was black in the 60s, hell, if I was black now, I would still look at that and be like, yeah, you motherfucker. Even though it's not me and it's not you, we weren't around for the shit, but you got to kind of understand a little bit, put it into perspective. But yeah, man, I don't want to keep going down that road, but I'm just kind of running out of things to say now. The point is, I've never identified, like, I could never be in a club that's like whites only because I don't identify with you. I have more in common. I was saying what I was telling this guy from Chicago. Me and him, okay, have more. I said, me and you have more in common. You're from Chicago. I'm from here. Mm-hmm. I'm white. You're black. We have more in common than I have with a white guy who's at the country club, playing golf. Right. The rich guy. I don't have nothing in common with him. Mm-hmm. He's not going to see me and see you and say, okay, I like that guy. I don't like that guy. You know what I mean? That was tactics that rich white people used like they're using politics today. What, transgender, anti-transgender, all this stuff. It's just dividing us. So that race was used to divide, and black folks were used as the whipping post of the time. Now it's like reversed. Now you can just, these people that are like, oh, you're just a white man. No one cares what you got to say. Like, what? It's just
we're not human beings anymore.
No, I'm just saying, it's fake. It's like there are people that might believe it, but those are the fucking dumbasses that fall for it. Those are the people that hear us talking about a major fucking deal, like what's going on in the world with World War III. Mm-hmm. But they hear me say, do you really care if that guy is dressed up? And that they don't care about, they only hear that. They're like, they key in on that, and they're like, oh, he sounds pro-trans. Now we got an enemy. Yep. I've started conversations with people saying, look, let's just go ahead and agree. I agree with you. I don't believe in abortion. Mm-hmm. Okay. I've had children. I've came up the father of a pregnancy. I won't say I'm pregnant. Untimely. It wasn't planned. And those children are alive now. I never once was like, you need to go get an abortion. I don't believe in it. That doesn't mean that I don't believe in it. That doesn't mean that I have a right or an opinion on what you do with your life.
Exactly.
Okay. So are we going to make it legal or illegal? I don't give a fuck. If you asking me, make it legal. I don't care, because I've had teenage daughters at one time, and if one of them came home at 16 and pregnant, I'm like, we're going to the clinic. First thing I'm going to say, I don't want this to fucking, because I know what, can happen. I don't want to discuss it. It's not my business. Right. I don't think that, anybody should be telling you, if you're a woman, what you have to carry this baby because of some law that I think, it's your body. You make your decision. Yeah. You're still killing a baby. You know what I'm saying? You're still killing a baby. Yeah. So I will start the conversation with, we'll agree on that. I think it's wrong. I would never do it. So can we agree? Yeah. Then I'll go into, now we're talking about the legality of it. It's none of my business. I can't get pregnant. I can't have a child. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I can help make a baby, but I can't have. So I don't have an opinion on that. I think it should just be legal. That way it can stay safe, because people are going to do it anyway. And they will totally forget the fact that we have common ground. Yep. They will use that right there, and they will start throwing Bible verses, and then it creates hostility. Just the way we're geared now. Even I say, wait a minute, I just said I agree with you.
That's how, man, everything, and like everyone's hostile. And look at how, like I said, I always beat this horse too, but how people drive now. Everyone's just in a hurry to get to the front, no matter what, and fuck everyone else. Like they don't, it's really bizarre. What causes that? I don't know. We're always at each other's throats, and it's like we have to be at each other's throats constantly.
Well, the internet has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know how many times someone is, I don't know how many times, like it doesn't happen a lot, but about a month ago, I was at a fucking red light and the light turned fucking green and the guy behind me, and I was getting ready to go.
He honked as soon as it turned
green. He honked the fucking horn.
Yeah.
And I was in a bad mood, so I threw the bitch in park and got out of the truck. He didn't even look at me.
Yep.
I wasn't like, come on, I'm not a fucking badass. I'm not like fucking Tito Ortiz or nothing like that, but I'm pissed. I don't even know who's back there. Yeah. I'm just like, are you fucking honking at me? Like, he didn't even look at me. You honk your fucking horn at me, like, because people are so used to the fucking being on the internet where they can say, fuck you, you idiot.
Yep.
Because if we're at a bar, maybe I'll take a bar out of it because people get drunk and do stupid shit. If we were just in line at the fucking store and I happen to make a comment about the fucking front page and Biden did something stupid, I'm like, this fucking jackass. And the guy behind me's, typically not going to be like, fuck you, you goddamn racist. Wow.
And then the people behind him as well.
Yeah, they'll just laugh or say, they'll be polite because you're face to face. But on the internet, you're like, fuck, I don't know if I'm going to vote for the Democrats. You fucking racist white fucking. And it's white people. It's fucking white people. It's not black people. I'm going to tell you right now, it's fucking white people. White people have assumed that they get to decide what offends black people. What funny. You can say and what you can't say. Yeah. It's fucking, black people have a sense of humor. You can make a fucking joke and they'll laugh. It's always some fucking white person, whether it be usually a female, but they've never even lived around black people.
Yep. And all of a sudden they're deciding who should.
They get to decide.
Yep.
what's offensive to black. And then, you know, there was a comedian on Facebook, of course, or TikTok, and I'm scrolling through, and he made a comment about, his joke was, I have a joke about black folks being late. He plays to a lot of black audiences. So he's like, I got a joke about black folks being late. So I normally say it at the beginning of the show so no one gets mad. Right? That's the joke, because they're going to be late anyway. They're going to miss that joke, right? And some fucking lady heckles him.
Yeah.
And he goes off on her. And he was like, you're fucking, like, you're white. It's this black guy, right? Black guy sitting in the front. He was like, did you laugh? And he was like, yeah, it was funny as shit. Yeah. Like, they're laughing. And he was like, so he looked at her. He's like, oh, now that you've got his approval, is it funny? And she's like, yes. Now, like, that's how they think. And to me, that is white supremacist. Maybe it's not racist. Like, you think you're helping, but you're fucking really not. You're really a white supremacist. Yeah. Like, your intentions are good, but
it's the internet in general, man. Like, people are just fucking dicks. And like, another thing too is, like, this is something I've noticed lately. It's just funny because, like, cultural appropriation, right?
Oh my God.
For instance, like, there's a dude who's really famous. He's a black dude named Uncle Chaco, and he, like, does Mexican dances and stuff. And everyone's like, oh, it's so cute. Oh, cool. And if you see a white dude doing the same thing, it's like, fuck you, you fucking honky.
But that's not
you
real.
Fucking...
That's not real. I mean, those are like white kids. Those are only white people that are like, and it's usually white college kids. They don't live around black
motherfuckers
people. They didn't go to school with black people. It's usually the white guy that's calling you a racist and tagging the one black guy he knows on. Yeah. So the black guy's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't have nothing to do with this.
It's just people.
It's not real, bro. It's not. I mean, there may be some. It's like an agenda. It's kind of like a think tank agenda because it's not real. I don't think so. That's my contention. It's not real. It's just some fake distraction to keep us looking at the fucking balloon. Yeah. Meanwhile, our fucking currency is about to tank and all of our money's going to be gone. Or there's going to be World War III and maybe we're not as equipped as we think we are for it. So on that cultural appropriation, I do just want to point out that dreadlocks, if you want to, and I'm going to say this, dreadlocks are a fucking Caucasian thing.
They're nasty.
But they're a Caucasian thing. Like, white people with dreadlocks are like, oh, that's cultural appropriation. Africans did not lock their hair. Africans, I lived in Africa. They don't lock their hair. Okay. In the Ivory Coast, some of the Africans had dreadlocks, so I'd ask them about it, but this was all because of the Rastafari movement. Yeah. But where they get it from is because like white people, we don't have to, not my hair don't do it, but like stringy white hair, all you got to do is not comb your hair. You can wash it. It'll lock from naturally.
Like the ancient Celts or some shit.
Yeah, because nobody had a comb. Yeah. It's just something that happened. But I could go down a rabbit hole on that. People are like, I'm like, that I tell that black dudes with dreadlocks all the time. I'm like, it's cultural appropriation, bro. That's a white thing. And they look at you like but then when you explain it to them, I'm like, yeah, probably. I don't care.
Then again, if you're explaining, you're mansplaining. And you're a fucking straight white male, so your fucking opinion is bigoted and hateful of hate. So you're wrong.
Yeah,
that's what the fucking media tells you, anyways.
Yeah, see everything you just said. I think that's all fake. No, I don't think that because I've never experienced that. I've never had anybody tell me that. I've never had a conversation with somebody and they've accused me
this
of
fucking
that.
Lady
except for white people
on Instagram, man. So this fucking dumbass dude, like. People, how can we not understand this? Like, it's a cultural thing that affects all cultures. It's not just fucking. But she assumed that I was speaking about black people, right? Mm-hmm. So in Hawaii, there's this video of these kids fucking like mugging people, right? Like punking them out, and like it was this Asian kid, and he's dropping the N-bomb, right?
Yeah.
And so I commented like, this is a fucking culture. It's a culture, and it's a bullshit culture that fucking everyone fucking buys into now. That tough fucking, I'm gonna be disrespectful to everybody culture. It fucking white kids act like that.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking everyone acts like that, dude. It's the young kids that they think they're fucking gangsters, and like, it's something that all the youth are fucking sucked into, and
not all of them.
A lot of them, though.
A lot. There's a lot of them, but not all of them.
But they keep perpetuating it, and it's a bullshit fucking thing. Like, it's teaching people to be fucking rude. It's teaching people to fucking do dumb shit. You got these kids in the suburbs talking about they're going to pull a fucking lick, and fucking every music video they're doing this shit. Mm-hmm. And fucking, that's bullshit. Like, And she went off on me. She's like, you're a fucking white incel. The problem is you. You're the ones that are shooting up all the schools and shit. And it's like, what the fuck?
She does have a point. Shooting up a school is kind of a white people thing to do.
Yeah, but like...
But she's probably a white lady that was telling you
definitely
this, right?
was. Definitely was, yeah. But she's married. She had, mixed kids.
Yeah.
So she all of a sudden she's an authority.
Oh, yeah, so she's the authority.
To speak for black people.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
And I was like, you're the one who's actually fucking racist. Because first of all, I didn't mention a single thing about race at all. I just said, this is some bullshit.
That's just it. If you think,
Yeah.
if I say something and you assume that I am being racist, you're the one that made
You're
it.
fucking
You know what I
racist,
mean? You
yep.
made it that way. So like I said, a lot of times, like I said, I don't like to use the word racist because maybe they don't mean to be. Like they're white supremacists, even though they have good intentions maybe. You know what I mean? Like some of these people think they're doing the right thing, but if they really step back, they don't realize that they're white supremacists. Racist is usually, I don't know. You know what's always struck me about the word racist is, what does it mean? The root word is race. IST is like the end of it, right? Yeah. It's the only word, like a psychiatrist doesn't think that people that study psychiatry are better than everybody, or a dentist doesn't think that I'm a dentist, so I'm better than you, or he doesn't hate teeth. A physicist, you know what I mean? But all of a sudden, racist. So let's end it on that note. We got 2 hours of damn time here. You showed up late, so we're late. I'm tired.
But, I mean, I'm just, this timeline, dude. This timeline is fucked.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Yeah.
So, all right, well, we're going to sign off. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir. And as usual, how copy?
Good copy.
That's good copy.
Roger. I say again, line Lima, 3-8, Sierra, Papa Victor, 324, 429. How copy?
Solid copy. Do you have any remarks? Over.